All right, all praises and glory go to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Yakar Kodash. Double and honors to the elders at GMS who's pushing this truth with all truth and sincerity. Shalom. And this is the title of this is Fox News, and the title is National Guard to be deployed in Los Angeles, country as anti-ICE protests rage. And reading here, it says National Guard will be deployed to Los Angeles County after anti-ICE protest continues to escalate Saturday afternoon. Trump administration borders Caesar Tom Homan told Fox News Saturday. On Saturday, tear gas was deployed near Home Depot in Paramount, California, where ICE agents were allegedly conducted a raid. Following the raid, a violent protest broke out and several arrests were made for assault on federal agents. In the interview with Fox News, a big weekend showman, Holman, said authorities are stepping up and mobilizing to address the violence and destruction occurring near the raid's location where demonstrators are gathering. American people, this is about enforcing the laws, and again, we're not going to apologize for doing it, said Holman. Alexandria is a breaking news writer of Fox News Digital, blah, 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 blah. But, Donald Trump, he's applying national law, the National Guard, to Los Angeles, man. And as my first video is, man, that they could very well, all hell can break loose from this, man. And they can use Jake to do so, man, because once Jake gets in the mist, all hell can break loose, and they can very well cause a chain reaction, man. A domino effect. So, I'm gonna show you this video. Fair use is for educational purposes only.
Looking at live pictures out of Paramount, California, where protesters have been clashing with police all day outside a Home Depot. It is still unconfirmed whether immigration officials were conducting an ICE raid, but several ICE vehicles have sustained damages and multiple protesters have now been arrested for an assault on a federal agent. This incident follows a night of riots in Los Angeles following multiple ICE raids in the city. Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Concha, along with Lydia Hu, Alicia Acuna, and Guy Benson. The big story tonight. Tear gas has filled the air as protesters clashed with police last night in Los Angeles. At least 45 people were arrested last night, while DHS says that more than 118 illegals were apprehended this week. The protester tried to storm into an ICE facility last night after being fired upon by radical speakers at a rally. Listen.
Free them all! Free them all! Free them all! Because an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us! And Los Angeles does not back down for that kind of fight!
Continue fighting until we reconstruct every single institution from the ground up so that we can grant full amnesty for all immigrants. Demand full compensation for all of the victims of this criminal injustice system.
What's going to change this is organizing, and not just any type of organizing, militant organizing.
Incredibly, Mayor Karen Bass is still standing with the protesters, saying she's fighting for all Angelenos regardless of immigration status, and doubling down that L.A. is a city of migrants, leaving out the illegal part. But the people on the side, as Karen Bass, are threatening ICE agents, spray painting death to ICE on dumpsters. Gavin Newsom also weighing in on the riots and blamed them on, get this, President Trump, accusing him of tearing families apart. And this chaos has now spread to New York City today alone as protesters organized in Lower Manhattan. Joining us to break down everything in terms of these protests is border czar Tom Homan. Tom, how is ICE responding to these protests? And thanks for joining us tonight.
Look, we're going to continue doing our job. And yesterday, we got 118 arrests. I was out here yesterday to kick off this operation. And what people aren't talking about is ICE served, several warrants yesterday. These were criminal warrants. This is a criminal investigation. And today we're continuing operations. They're not going to shut us down. We're out there right now doing operations. We're going to keep doing operations. We brought in more resources to push back the protesters, but I'll say it again, a serious warning. You can protest all you want. You got your First Amendment rights. But if you cross that line of impediment, or you're putting hands on officers or destroy property, you will be prosecuted. There's zero tolerance on crossing that lines, and that's what we're standing by. We're bringing more resources as we speak. We'll have more resources tonight. We're going to continue doing the job that American people voted Donald Trump in office to do, and we're not going to apologize for doing it.
Tom, it's Alicia Acuna. Again, thank you so much for being here. During the protest yesterday, a Los Angeles City Council member called for mobilization against ICE. Listen.
They know how quickly we mobilize. That's why they're changing tactics. Because community defense works and our resistance has slowed them down before. And if they're escalating their tactics, then so are we. When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger.
So, Tom, will the Trump administration take action against these public officials who are threatening ICE agents with resistance?
Absolutely, and I think Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice are looking at that. And, like I said many times, these elected officials or these non-government organizations, they can't cross the line either. I mean, we got people like, Hakeem Jeffries saying he's going to dox ICE employees, ICE agents out there with masks on. They're wearing masks to protect themselves and their families because they've been doxxed, their families been doxxed, their life's been threatened, their families have been threatened. I know myself, I had over 1,000 protesters at my house. I expect that as the borders are, but these men and women are putting their lives on line every day. They arrested a lot of bad people yesterday and today. They arrested child sex offenders. They arrested people convicted of robbery. They arrested public safety, not only significant public safety threats, but national security threats. They arrested gang members. We're making Los Angeles safer. And Mayor Bass ought to be thanking us for making her city safer. And the term migrant, as Joe Concha rightfully said earlier, they're illegal aliens. There are illegal aliens in this country, and we welcome. We're the most giving country in the world. But these are illegal aliens who committed a crime by crossing this border illegally, then yet committed another crime. Again, yesterday's about a criminal investigation into money laundering, tax evasion, and some of the funds going to cartels in Mexico and Colombia that fund their operations of sending narcotics to this country, killing American people. This is about enforcing the law, and again, we're not going to apologize for doing it. We're stepping up. She says they're going to mobilize. Well, guess what? We're already ahead of the game. We're already mobilizing. We're going to bring National Guard in tonight. We're going to continue doing our job. We're going to push back on these people, and we're going to force the law.
Tom, it's Lydia Hu, and I want to ask you a little bit more about these Democrat demands that ICE agents be unmasked. Some Democrats are saying that if they don't unmask, they're threatening to dox them. Listen to this.
I don't know of any police department that routinely wears masks. We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Sending masked men to snatch, kidnap, and disappear immigrants of all legal statuses across the country.
Every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how.
And just stopping right there, they've been going up to kids' schools, man, and waiting till kids get out of school and snatching them up, man. And out of anybody, if I know if I had kids, man, as parents, we focus on the safety of our children, man. And you could be at work, man, and your children's getting snatched up, man. And Esau knows that Jake loved their kids, man. So by them doing this, man, it's causing an uproar, and it could very well get Jake, into it, man, to cause all hell to break loose, to cause chaos and a civil uproar, man. And this could very well escalate. But that's just the one thing I wanted to point out, to where they're waiting for kids to get out of school, man, and then after their parents get off of work, man, they're trying to figure out where the hell their kids are, but continuing on.
How long it takes will, of course, be identified.
Tom, I wonder if you can speak to that a little bit. Explain to us more, help everyone understand the threat that our ICE agents are facing by just doing their job, why they need to wear these masks, and also what actions need to be taken against Democrats who are demanding that they be unmasked, and what would happen if they do dox them and at least publish their identities.
Look, it's incredible. We're at a place where the guys, the men and women who enforce the law, they're the bad guys, and the ones who break the law are the victims. You kidding me? How come they didn't say anything about BLM? They're out there. They were a mask. How about the protesters, all the college campuses? They were protesting against Israel and the Jewish students. They're wearing masks. I didn't hear a word about that for these protesters wearing masks. But ICE agents are wearing masks for one reason, because the assault on ICE officers is up over 400%. The assault on ICE officers. They're being doxxed across the country. And their families are being attacked. Their families are being doxxed. Their families are being threatened. And I certainly understand it. I have a lot of death threats. I've been doxxed. My family's been doxxed. I understand it. But they're wearing masks for one reason only: protect themselves and their families. They're doing a dangerous job. This is already a dangerous job. They got to wear a gun. They got to wear a Kevlar vest every day because they're doing a dangerous job every day. While the rest of these people, like Hakeem Jeffries, is sleeping in his bed at night at 3 a.m., nice and comfortably and safe, there's men and women of ICE on the street doing surveillance on significant public safety threats. Really bad characters and national security threats. They're taking it on every day. The men and women of Border Patrol standing on a dirt trail every night at 3 a.m. taking on the bad guy. So this is another threat against ICE agents, and we're asking the Department of Justice to look at these statements and see if there's something we can do. When do you cross that line on threatening ICE officers? And here's the problem. You know, you got all these people now attacking ICE. You saw they're writing death to ICE agents. ICE agents been threatened. Their families been threatened. And you got members of Congress. You got some judges out there that compare ICE to the KKK, ICE to the Nazis. You got city council people saying ICE are terrorists. They're feeding the hatred. And here's my concern. I've been doing this for a long time. It's a matter of time before ICE takes a life or an ICE agent loses their life, because the rhetoric is at an all-time high and is being fed by people who should be more responsible, elected officials especially, who keep firing up this rhetoric. I'm telling you, it's coming. There's going to be a tragedy because they keep throwing gas on this flame.
Tom, it's Guy Benson. Good of you to be with us this evening. The U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi just announced yesterday that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, another now familiar name in this whole wider drama, has actually been brought back to the United States after being...
But stopping right there, man. I don't see nothing good coming from this, and you know that he's right, man. Out of these situations, you know, very well somebody could lose their life, and whichever side it could be on, it could very well escalate the situation or cause more attention, you know, and you know, we're just gonna be watching and see how this goes, man. But very well, all hell could break loose from this, man, and a civil unrest could spring forth, man. You know, and after a civil unrest, like I said, and brothers have said before me, you know, it's gonna lead to a domino effect, man. You know, but. You know, I like to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Yakwadash, double and honors to the elders at JMS who's pushing the truth with all truth and sincerity. And, you know, you brothers stay on lookout, man, because, you know, we are in we are in the latter days, man. We're in the last days, man. You know, so, shalom.